afternoon, everyone. I am Samantha Mowat. I'm a clairvoyant psychic and a contactee, and I think I want to talk to you about screen memories. So, some of you may not know what a screen memory is, and when you're going through things like extraterrestrial and multidimensional contact, quite often the beings that we're working with, who are rather having contact with us, which is where they come in the intention of sharing information, teaching us, coming to us in a very benevolent way, um, interacting with us with both their highest good and our highest good involved, or abducting us, where they may have more of their own preferences and agenda moving forward, may not be as necessarily focused on the well being of the people that they're taking. Put into your mind almost like this filter. And what it does is, let's say you have an experience. Let's say you're laying in bed at night and you go to sleep and you think it's like a totally fine, normal night, and the next thing you know, you're waking up and you see this light cascading in through the window, and then a moment later you see this really ridiculous thing, like let's say three black bears coming into your home, and you may be like, well, that's weird, I must still be dreaming, why am I seeing three black bears coming into my home? Not realizing that in actuality you got a screen memory being projected into your mind, almost as though the image of something that you're familiar with is being projected into you. And one thing I've found with this is that quite often when the beings are doing this, it's because they feel as though we're not able to handle the information that is being presented to us. And I've found that they're doing this quite often as a means of allowing us to have a partial memory of the experience, or it's our subconscious mind allowing us to retain more information. I'm gonna have to change spots. This is brighter than it was a minute ago, so give me just 1 second, I'll just change spots. Oh, I've been feeling this whole time. Oops. Okay, much better. So, one thing that I've noticed about this and how screen memories have impacted my life is when I was a kid, I'd have some really weird screen memories. I'd have things like clowns coming into my room, which then created this really weird phobia around clowns because I just didn't feel like what was being presented to me made sense or coincided with the information that I had within my soul. So, what that means is that when you feel the vibrational resonance of something, if it aligns with the image that is being presented to you, you feel comfortable with it. But when it doesn't, it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable. It doesn't quite resonate or feel right. And so when I started to actually start to pay attention to my screen memories and what was happening and how these things were moving forward, I was a bit perplexed. Because I'm like, okay, I'm dreaming about black bears or large people like dressed up in these furry costumes, which didn't make any sense to me. And then I'd be dreaming about clowns, and then I'd be dreaming about these people that really looked funny that didn't quite, I guess, resonate, or their clothes didn't make sense, or their eyes didn't match their appearance, and stuff like this. I started to realize after a while that, okay, they're projecting information into my head to make me see one thing. And so I started talking to my angels and my guides about it. Okay, so angels and guides, why are these beings doing this? What is their intention? What is the reason behind this? Like, could you please help me to understand? I'm confused. And they explained to me, like, sorry, slipping down a log, but they explained to me a couple things, like, Sam, they're doing this because they're trying to, in some cases, make you more comfortable. They don't want to be making you afraid, which is fine. I totally appreciate that. I respect that. Whereas other times, these beings were doing it because they want to hide their identity. They didn't necessarily have my highest good in mind. Sometimes they're doing it for their own reasoning. And, I want for you to take this into consideration in some of my lab experiences where I've seen negative reptilian beings masquerading or portraying themselves to be human, yet the vibrational resonance and frequency is emitting that of reptilian, yet the physical appearance is appearing to be a man in his like 40s in a uniform standing in front of me, yet I can feel the aura of this is so much bigger and more powerful and stronger than like an earth human man. You can feel the difference. And even sometimes in your encounters, you'll recognize that this is screen memory being projected to you. And other times you won't even realize until after the encounter is over. And that can be very frustrating too. It's like, oh, how did I not realize this? How did I not understand in that moment that this is what was happening? And so I have found that the easiest way for me to really start to recognize the patterns of my screen memories, really start to recognize how things are moving, is by writing it all down. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I haven't had that many encounters, so why am I writing it down? What's the point of this? Well, the reason being is once you start to write down your encounters, you actually start to unlock more information. So let's say right now you only have 5 periods in your life where you recall something weird or paranormal or strange. Great, that's awesome, good job. But as you start to write down those encounters, write down everything. What time of day was it? What was the weather like? Were you alone? Were you with someone else? What holiday was it near? What time of year? Stuff like that. And then get into the specific details pertaining to the encounter. Like, okay, I found myself in the cabin. It was early spring. It was the middle of the night. I woke up and there, standing in the doorway of the bedroom that's off to the left side of the bathroom, I could see a tall black reptilian being. Do you see how there's that recording of information and then starting to break down the details? Okay, well, I was laying on my side and I was facing towards the door. And sorry, I heard something, so I just wanted to look. But and as I was laying on my side and I was looking towards the door, I felt his vibration before I seen him. As you start to take in the basic senses of sight, smell, hear, taste, stuff like that, it's going to actually be of assistance to you because it's going to enable you to allow yourself to bring forward more information, allow for you to not only recognize more of what happened, but it'll also help you when it comes to the aspect of better allowing more information from other encounters to come forward. You know what? I was that weird kid who would record in my journals all my weird dreams, weird things that happened in my day to day life that I thought were kind of like odd or peculiar from like grade 5 onwards. And because I did that, it actually allowed for me to have a better recollection of a lot of the weird things that have happened to me in my life. And you're thinking, well, I'm a lot older than a 10-year-old Samantha. This clearly wouldn't be that useful for me now. And that's where you're mistaken. I found with a lot of my clients, a lot of my friends, by encouraging them to write down the experiences that they've had, it actually has enabled for them to better unlock their psychic abilities. They may remember small things like, I remember this one time I knew the phone was about to ring and it rang, or I heard a voice call my name, or I felt like someone was in the room with me and I saw like a shimmer there for a moment and gone, or a shadow in the moment and it was gone. The more you start to write this stuff down, the more it starts to come forward. And the same thing we said with the beings in masquerading. So you may be like, I've had a lot of really weird dreams, and quite often our contact can appear to be like symbolic in nature. It can be, so when I say it's symbolic in nature, a lot of the memories that come forward can be representative of like your mind trying to get past the blocks in place. So, for instance, I've been on the island for like 2 days now, and I had this really weird contact thing happen. I could feel craft above the house before I went to bed, and when I woke up, I suddenly found myself in this really weird encounter. And I'm just going to explain the encounter to you to try to give you a better idea. And as I'm going through this encounter, I was walking beside a woman, and the woman at first didn't really make sense to me. She took me to this really weird spot in the woods. I'm like, okay, well, I'm close to the woods. I know I'm actually in this kind of terrain and topography where I am in my normal day to day life because I recognize that something wasn't quite right. And so I look up in the sky, and there is the image of a travel trailer that is literally floating in the sky. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. That shouldn't be there. Why is that there? How does that even work? And then the next moment, I see these bears, these black bears, coming down, and they literally came down to the ground, floated, and started walking towards me. Now, this is where I have to stop you. Because when you're going through contact, if you're having a lot of screen memories, you can have things that are going on in your day to day life come forward as representatives of your screen memory. And so think of the travel trailer. Well, that is a craft that is being projected in my mind as being a travel trailer, like a camping trailer. The three black bears is once again the symbolic representation of the ETs that were coming down, most likely grays, that were projecting into my mind, into my consciousness, black bears. And part of the reason why they do stuff like this is just to make you more comfortable. And to be very honest with you, because I have been going through a lot of stress within 2020, I have now said I've had a lot more screen memories coming forward. And then these bears, interestingly enough, took me to see some of my hybrid children. And so when you have stuff like that coming forward, you recognize that, okay, this travel trailer wasn't really a travel trailer. It was pardon me, a ET craft that was cloaked, and the bears, of course, were grays. And so you have to start looking at how your dreams, which are sometimes your astral projections, but other times memories from things your physical body goes through as well, can be releasing information to you. So there is a dimension of contact that people don't really understand that's more complex than what we're expecting. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I want to think more about what I want to say about screen memories and how these work. But in the meantime, I want to go get some Chanterelles picked because I can see one behind the camera and I'm super excited. So I wish you peace, love, and light. I hope you have a great day.